Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, the show where you get your questions into us and we get our answers out, and everyone feels great about the process. Now, the reason why this works so well is we turn up every week, but also you keep asking questions. So let's make sure that keeps happening by giving you the pieces of information that you will need to do so.
Yes, don't live a day longer with an unanswered question. Give us a call on 013 808 0035. That's 013 808 0035, or go and do it via our website at propertyhub.net/ask. Make sure you send us a question and make sure you send us your name. Otherwise, we're going to have to make one up for you, just like I'm about to now with Florence.
Hi Rob, thank you for the podcast. I only discovered them a couple of days ago, but I've been binge listening on my walks to all of 2020 so far. Brilliant. I'm in a position at the moment. I'm thinking of remortgaging my current property. I have about £190,000 equity in it. I hope to release that. Now, I don't know whether to pay the penalty and get out now, which would be about £1,040, or wait 2 years and get out then when the fix is finished. If I get my money out now, I have no idea what to do with it. So I don't know whether to go down the council leasing route or the holiday let route. I don't know what to do with that money. What would you suggest I do, or would you wait? It's just that I want to try and beat the stamp duty increase in March, but I don't know if it's going to be extended. So it's like decisions. What would you do?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for your dedication trying to get caught up and listening to us on all your walks. Not much else to do other than go for walks at the moment, so at least you're making good use of them, and hopefully you're making some good progress in building your knowledge as well. Now, I've got a bit of a two-part answer. There's like a technical answer and a broader answer to this one. So generally speaking, I would say if you're looking at a situation where you've got an early redemption penalty, I'd just say work out the alternative use that you could put the money to. And if the upside of that is greater than what you'd have to pay out to get out of your mortgage early, then do that. It's painful to have to pay an extra fee, but if you're going to put that money to some use that's going to make you more than £1,000 extra over the next couple of years that you'd otherwise have to wait, then it's well worth taking it on the chin and just doing it. However, that's a technical answer. The bigger picture answer is, and I don't mean to sound harsh, but I don't think you're ready to do that yet. Because you mentioned in your question that you don't actually know what you'd do with the money. And having a large amount of money and not having a clear plan for what to do with it is dangerous territory. It's actually better not to have the money at all, because there's a high risk that you're going to do the wrong thing with it if you don't have a clear plan. Another warning sign is that you mentioned two completely different strategies. Leasing a property to the council versus doing holiday lets could barely be more different. And that really implies that you're not clear on what you want property to do for you. So I would say forget about beating the stamp duty increase. It's probably too late for that anyway. And in any case, you're not ready to buy just yet. And instead, spend some time getting clear on what you want out of property. You're doing the right thing by listening to the podcasts. That's great. You could also go and watch one of our free courses. Go to propertyhub.net/university. There's one on there about setting property goals. There's another one about strategies. Go watch those completely free, and that should get you to a position where you're much clearer. The good news is you've done the bit that's really hard to do, which is to get into a position where you've got a good chunk of cash to spend. You can do really great things with that money. Give yourself at least a few months of reading and research and thinking, put a plan together, get really clear. And at that point, you'll know if it's worth paying that charge to get at your equity early or not. So I know it's no fun to be told to wait and do nothing, but I seriously think that is by far the best thing for you to do right now. So whatever you decide to do, good luck with it.
Great advice from Mr. D there, Florence. Please do listen. And if anyone's in a similar position, please do the same. Right, let's see if we can help out our next listener, Martin.
Hi, Rob and Rob. My name's Martin. I'm calling from Hong Kong. Firstly, I just want to say how much I've really enjoyed listening to your podcast over the last 18 months. Starting off as a complete beginner with no knowledge, it's really helped me to gain confidence and a bit of knowledge that I need to enter the property market. So I've got a bit of a beginner's question for you today. Since I started listening, I have purchased one small property in the UK with cash. And I'm looking to buy more within the UK, but being based abroad, and given the current situation, buying in cash seems to be easier than getting a mortgage in terms of waiting time, etc. Having listened to your podcast about leverage, I know that getting a mortgage is the better option. However, if I purchase something in cash now, would I then be able to get a mortgage taken out on it in a year or two when it might be easier to get a mortgage? And are there any disadvantages to doing this? Thanks very much.
Hello to you in Hong Kong, Martin. Thanks for listening and thanks for your question. You are absolutely right in saying that for the vast majority of property investors, leveraging is the way to go. There are so many advantages to leveraging. We covered it so many times on the property podcast, and we won't apologise for doing so because it is one of the key principles of effective property investment. If you get leverage right, you can really, really increase your wealth. So why wouldn't you do it? Well, because you could go in, like you've said, cash now and remortgage out later. So effectively doing it, but just with a bit of a delay. So why would you do this? Well, for a start, it allows you to act quickly. If you are a cash buyer, you can move quickly on a transaction, which may make you more attractive to a vendor. So if you are competing with somebody in the UK, or if you're just listening now in the UK and you're a cash buyer and you're competing against somebody who's buying with a mortgage, you're going to look more attractive, which may allow you to get a better deal. So for putting deals together, being a cash buyer can sometimes be an advantage because it gives the vendor more certainty. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you will be at an advantage, and it also doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a better deal. That's not a given. It's a possibility, but just because you're buying cash doesn't mean you're getting a great deal. So just make sure that when you're assessing a deal, particularly when it has to be cash for whatever reason, that it is actually a great deal. Just because they're saying they want a cash offer and they're giving you a better deal because of that, it might not be true. There might be an issue with the property around its mortgageability, and therefore that's why they're pushing for cash offers. So be very, very careful. And this really leads on to my advice with you, Martin, is even if you are buying cash from overseas, you need to be extra careful because the amount of mortgage offers open to you are limited. You can absolutely buy in the UK property market, which is fantastic. I think it's awesome that you have that option, but you have less products available. So when you come to remortgage further down the line, you'll have a smaller pool of lenders. But if your property is a bit different, not necessarily a problem property, but just a property that is a little bit different to the norm. So for example, the lease is structured a little bit differently, maybe short on a lease if it's an apartment, if it's near a commercial property or attached to a commercial property, if it's in a certain area that lenders don't like. I mean, there's so many variables. I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm just trying to make you aware. But just because there are mortgage products available doesn't mean they're available on every property. So when you go to buy a property, if you do decide to go with cash first, because you don't want the hassle of doing a mortgage right now, or you can get yourself a better deal, then I would still do the checks to make sure a mortgage is available to you, even if you don't go ahead with that said mortgage. And that way, you are de-risking yourself, not completely eliminating the risk because the market can change, but you are absolutely reducing that risk. But now I've said all of that, Martin, if you don't have a very good reason for investing without a mortgage right now, you probably should do your very best to invest with a mortgage, even though it will slow down the transaction, be a bit of a hassle. It shouldn't rule you out from getting a good deal. You can still get great deals with mortgages, and that would be my first approach if I was you. But if you want to go the other way, you now know all the pros and cons.
Some excellent advice from Martin there. And of course, we're going to be back to do it all again next Tuesday on another episode of Ask Rob and Rob. And in the meantime, there is the property podcast waiting for you just a couple of days away, coming up this Thursday, and you won't want to miss that one. Until then, have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.